Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching. Here's the situation. We got a 2015 Coleman camper behind me. It's got your standard small camper furnace in it. Last fall, my last time using it, the furnace started up. I went out fishing and came back at night to go to sleep, and the furnace wasn't working anymore. So let's go inside and take a look and see if we can't find the cause. All right, we're inside the camper. Here's the furnace. If you happen to have an older camper with a little bit older furnace, I just did a video about that. We fixed Reggie's truck camper furnace, but now we're in a little bit more modern one. They haven't really changed all that much. There's a couple differences. So let's go over the symptoms of this furnace. What happens is when I turn on the thermostat, everything operates as normal. It has an automatic igniter, so you can hear it clicking. You can hear the gas valve start on. And there's just no ignition, no flame. It's almost like it's not getting any gas. So let's open the cover and check it out. All right, so I already opened this up once, and this has been winterized all winter here. And when I just open it up, you can see we have some mice have been in here and chewed off a couple wires. Now what I'm not sure about is, were these already started to be chewed through when the furnace wasn't working, or did they just do this over winter and this has nothing to do with the problem? So first things first, let's repair these broken wires and then turn it on and see if it works. If not, then we got to dig in a little deeper. All right, I'm back with some supplies to patch up all the wiring. But before I do that, I'm going to search for any other damage in here. So I can just pull this there's two screws there, pull this plate off. It has your circuit board and stuff on it. Then there's another cover back here. You can access the side. So I'm looking all over. Let's take a look. All right, like I said, we have these two broken here, and then I found this black one right there. It goes up to the ground. So that one, and then this blue one here. This goes to the high temperature switch, which is kind of what I thought the problem was, and it still could be because it's got a mouse chewed halfway through it right there. And I don't know if it wasn't getting enough voltage, but that switch, it tells the furnace that it's overheating and it shuts off the gas supply. And if this switch is bad, if it's failed, it can just permanently be in the open position where it's telling it it's overheated, so it won't turn on the gas. So that's an easy fix right there to replace that little button. And let's take a look on the side. So get some light in here for you. All right, there you go. There's definitely evidence of mice back there, but all this wiring looks pretty decent. You can look right up to the front. So it's nice that they have this little side panel that comes off so you can get at it. Another thing is, see the reset switch right here. Make sure that's not tripped. That can be another cause. But for now, let's just do the wiring and see what happens. Okay, I patched up all the wires. They were just long enough where I just put new ends on them. They're kind of stretched a little bit, but it'll work, I think. Patched all those ones back there. Now let's test it out by turning it on. So first of all, make sure you got power supplied and the propane is on. And since this has been sitting all winter, what I did is I turned on the stove and got the gas flowing to make sure there was gas through the lines and close enough to the furnace where it might start. Okay, first we turn it on with this switch right there, and then turn the thermostat so it's all the way up. You can hear the blower kicked on, and then you should hear the igniter, and you should hear the gas ignite. Okay, can you hear the igniter? So it tried and then nothing lit, so it stopped. Now we'll let it go. It'll try a few cycles. There might just not be enough propane in it right now to ignite, so we'll let it try a few times. Alright, so far nothing. And I said I'll just let enough propane get through there. That could be the problem, but otherwise the wiring was not the problem. It's something the mice did this winter, and we had a problem before this. Okay, so it shut itself down because it didn't ignite. So I'm going to try it one more time just to verify that it has the propanes run all the way through the line and that isn't the problem. But other than that, the wiring wasn't the problem and there was something else wrong in there. All the symptoms are telling me that it's not getting any gas. It's trying to ignite. Its fan's turning on. The igniter's working. It's running through its full cycle, but nothing's igniting. So the biggest culprit stopping gas flow is that high temperature limit switch. So it's normally closed is usually the position of the switch. It's really just screwed up against the back there, and when it gets too hot, the little switch opens up and shuts off gas to the furnace. So what I'm going to do is take a little wire here and just jump it across to close that switch. So if it got stuck open for some reason, that'll close it, and just for testing purposes, it should kick on if that was the problem. All right, give you another look at it here. If we get in there real close, that switch right there. So I'm going to pull the wire off each side and just jump it across, and then try turning it on again. All right, there it is. Just put a little wire in there, jumped across those two, and now let's go turn it back on. All right, that apparently wasn't the problem, but I want to show you something. On the circuit board here, there's a little red LED light, and it'll flash and tell you what the problem is. So you see it there? Now you count the flashes. 1, 2, 3. And 1, 2, 3. Okay, it's 3. So there's a little panel here. It tells us, see if I can read it. It says 1 with 3 second, 3 with a 3-second pause. Ignition, lockout fault. And the other faults are airflow, limit fault, flame sense fault, then the ignition lockout fault, and internal control failure. So it's saying basically what we know is it's not igniting. But now we gotta figure out why it's not igniting. I hear the igniter click, 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 click. So maybe I'll pull that igniter out and just make sure it's where it's supposed to be. Now just to make sure that thermal high temp switch is good, I can take my voltmeter here and check the continuity, just put it across both probes. So it is showing it is closed, so it is getting a circuit through. So now we know that is not the problem for sure, and we'll keep digging deeper. Just get right in here, there's a little panel. Just take off 2 screws and that should come right out. Alright, there's the hole where the igniter came out of. You see there it is, 2 little prongs. It should shoot a spark between the 2. I'm going to see if I can turn it back on and see if I can see the spark happening. Make sure it's actually trying to ignite. Alright, got a touch in the metal ground. So this one's the ground and then this one's the positive. So alright, I think I figured out the problem. I got out the manuals and started digging through there. And in order for the furnace to turn on, it needs to pass 2 tests. So when I turn the thermostat on, you hear the blower fan kick on. There's a sail switch. It's basically a stick on a switch. And when the fan blows, it pushes on that stick and closes the switch. And then the next test it has to pass is that the thermal test, the high temperature switch, which we already tested. So that tested good. And then if both those are good, it'll allow the circuit board to let the gas flow through the regulator. The only problem is the sail switch is back on the side, way back in the furnace, and it's almost impossible to get at. So I think I'm going to have to pull that whole furnace out. In order to do that, I got to cut off a couple wires and keep track of which ones go where, and then I'll splice them back together when I put it back in. Let's take a look at the diagram. So here's kind of the exploded view of the furnace. If we look up here at the wiring diagram, this is the high limit switch, and then here is the sail switch right there. So you can see it has to go through, the electricity has to go through. There's the circuit breaker that we also talked about, so make sure that's on. Goes up through that, through the thermal switch, through the sail switch, and then down to the circuit board. And if all that works, it'll let the gas flow. Alright, it came free. I don't know what it was stuck on, but gave me some trouble. Oh boy. Yeah, I'm glad I took it out because, I mean, it's full of mice crap and whatever else in there. When I run the furnace, it smells like a mouse, so this will give me a chance to clean it out. Alright, look in there. You can see the mice have been hard at work. Stained it all up. So it'll give me a chance to just really bleach that out and make it so it doesn't stink when I turn on the furnace. That was one of the most annoying things. Made it hard to sleep at night. Alright, let's see if that sail switch is bad. Alright, here's the side. I just took off this cover, and here's the, I think this is the fan or that blows air in through the combustion chamber, and I thought the sail switch might be back here somewhere, but I don't see it yet. So it's either under here somewhere or it's up in this combustion chamber area up here. So it's just trial and error. Like I said, I'm no expert at this, but just using troubleshooting skills, you can eventually find the problem and hopefully fix it ourselves. Alright, I found the sail switch. I had to take apart the whole blower piece here. So after I got this out, it was actually underneath there, right where I thought it was. I just couldn't see it because that was on top of it. So if you look inside of there, and there it is. You can see it. Let's see if I get it. Right there. There's that sail switch. And I'm going to pull it out and test it and see if it's worked. You can see it screws in right there. You just pull out that and this whole thing comes out. There we go. That's what we're looking at. So when the air hits this, turns the switch on. So if that switch has failed, it won't work. Okay, to test the switch, just put one lead on each terminal here. Doesn't do nothing. When the air blows, it'll push this down. Alright, so the switch does appear to be working, although there is a lot of garbage in here, including a screw even. That's what I heard bouncing around. And a lot of ladybugs and all that stuff, and I don't know if maybe something got underneath that little paddle there and was blocking it. So maybe just taking it out, cleaning it, putting it back in, maybe that'll make it work again. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just clean it all up, get all the gunk out of it, reassemble it back together after I clean all the most crap out of there. And if it doesn't work then we're talking more of a gas valve or something. Alright, it's the next day. I got it all cleaned up, put back together, all the wires connected, gas connected, turn it on, and same thing. So now it's getting confusing because we checked all the switches and the wiring and everything looks good, and it still ain't doing it. So now, like the last furnace had a dirty orifice, so I don't know, I'm going to start taking apart the regulator in the orifice down here and see if we find any clogs in that area. Alright, a little set screw in here. Take that out. I'm not sure exactly what that does, but take a look inside. Alright. Get a nice little look inside of there. Alright, this whole thing should pull right off. Disconnect these electrical lines, it'll help free it up. Go shut the propane off and disconnect all that. Oh my gosh. I might have found a problem here. Oh, look at this. You can see. Look at that. Oh man, a bunch of fried bugs. That could be part of the problem right there. It's just packed. All right. Well, let's clean that out and give it a try again. All right, here's the actual gas valve. Right there is where all the gas comes out. It should ignite there, and this is, you know, crammed with bugs too. So I'm wondering if they're inside the screen. They're everywhere else. So I'll see if I can't get that apart and look inside of there too. But yeah, I think that's the problem. Alright, so I got it all apart. There's inside the little burner part here. There's a few in there. And there's the actual orifice that comes out of the gas valve. So that appears clean. It was just everything beyond that. I was just getting soaked up with bugs. So I'll clean all this out, all that out. Got all that cleaned out. Get her put back together and give her another run. You can see we got a hole right here to the right, and then the big hole here. This little hole is where that black tube is coming along the side where the sail switch was and the induction fan, so it flows the air through here and then out through the burner can and exhausts it out. So this tube was clean. We already looked at that when we had it out. It's just this burner can here. Again, there's a bunch of fried bugs like stuck to the bottom. I'm gonna have to scrape those out. All right, here goes the moment of truth. It's all put back together. If this doesn't work, I think I'm out of ideas. Come on, let's go. All right, thermostat on. Fans on. Oh, I think I heard ignition. Oh, I think we just did it. Woo! Because man, there ain't much left to tear apart on this thing. If that didn't work, I feel heat. Woo! We did it! Alright, a quick little backstory in this camper. It was 2015. The people bought it, used it a couple times, and stored it in a pole shed for like 4 or 5 years. And then they listed it on Facebook Marketplace, and that's when I bought it. Guaranteed me it was mouse free and all the stuff. It wasn't. But anyway, whenever these campers sit, the critters love to get in them, especially the mice, and apparently those little Asian beetles. They like it where it's warm, so obviously they went to the warmest spot, where's the furnace, and they just plugged it up. So if your camper's been sitting a while, I guess that'd probably be one of the first things to check to see if any mice or insects, whatever, got clogged in your furnace anywhere. Otherwise, we talked about on these modern furnaces, they don't really have that thermocouple like they had on the older one that I just did on Reggie's camper. But it's got an electronic igniter, so you just turn the thermostat on, hear the blower fan kick on, and when that then it needs to complete that circuit of the circuit breaker switch, the sail switch, and that thermal overheat switch. So if those are all good and check out, it runs for about 15 seconds. Then it turns on the gas valve, and then the igniter, you can hear it click, 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 and then it should ignite. And that's they're pretty simple things. So like I said, start tearing it apart, and sooner or later you're going to find the problem. So if you're having trouble with your furnace, I hope this helped, watching me walk through my furnace and seeing all the things that could possibly be wrong. Again, if you have an older furnace, I just did a video fixing Reggie's furnace. It's from like the 1970s, so it's set up, it's a little bit different than this, but it has a lot of the same components. I also have a lot of other camper videos where we built a camper roof, put in some new lighting in here, put on some canvas on a pop-up camper. So check out my channel, I got all kinds of camper videos on there. Everyone, thanks so much for watching. We'll see you next time.